This is my biohistory as already as last 10 years I work as the homeopathy doctor in Japan. So as just now as I am very interested in the integrative medicine. My professional is psychoanalysis or psychosomatic medicine area. And this is my clinic as around during 2 years. I see the first consultation 228 patients. Almost 94% of have already conventional medicine treated, but they have some complaint to the conventional medicine does not work well, so they seek to the homeopathic treatment. At first I am a dermatologist started and moved to the psychiatry. So as my patient is 13 and 12 as psychosomatic and psychiatry patient. This slide shows in Japan as a mental disorder is very, very social problem, as especially as depression as the number of depression as rapidly increase, but the schizophrenia is still as a lot of number of patients, 70,000 people in Japan. So the schizophrenia is, everyone knows that is a chronic severe disease, and they affected about 24 million people in the world. And the schizophrenia usually started the adolescence, the 20 generation and until the 30 generation. The symptoms are variable but profoundly disruptive. As this slide shows the schizophrenia symptom, positive symptom, negative symptom, and cognitive symptom, especially as the acute phase is positive symptom, delusion and hallucination. And that's the treatment. The main treatment of schizophrenia is antipsychotic medication. Antipsychotic medication can reduce only just positive symptoms, but their good response is 40 and 50%, but contrarily, as 20% of people is resistant for the antipsychotic medication. If we use continuous psychosomatic medication for prophylactic, and the dose is only we need to prescribe the antipsychotic medication for people as over the 5 years. And after that time, if they are getting well and symptom-free, but we cannot stop suddenly. We need to the antipsychotic psychotic medication is reduced gradually, as it takes a long time, 10 or 15 years. This slide shows that it is very exciting as a paper as 2011 as a Nature reported psychopharmacology as in crisis. The data are in the clear that the past 30 years psychopharmacology does not developed. It's amazing. Here I wanted two objectives. Firstly, to report the progress of 3 schizophrenia patients who were still complaining positive symptoms and experiencing difficulty in everyday life with antipsychotic medication. And secondly, to discuss recovery from schizophrenia through homeopathy using a 3-step indication. Someone remember I several times presented the 3-step indication of recovery from depression, and the almost mental disorder patient have already treated by conventional medicine. So how to reduce and how to stop the conventional medicine for the people, mental disorder patient. The first step to reduce the difficulty in everyday life. The second step, reduce the stop for depression patient, antidepressant. The thirdly is to reduce the stop taking the remedy, because the remedy is medicine, as we wanted to, in order to recover completely, it need to stop the remedy too. As this slide shows, depression state is here as antidepressant only just move up to the daily life. But some patient had difficulty, complain the difficulty in their everyday life, and they seek homeopathy. And the first step is to reduce difficulty in everyday life. And secondly, stop antidepressant. How to manage and how to reduce the antidepressant is very important. And thirdly, they stop the antidepressant. Thirdly, they stop the remedy too, as it move to the complete cure. And that's homeopathy is possible as natural healing inside in them. Okay. That is the past time I presented the 31 patient sees duration at 3 months to 6 years, 4 months, as 13 cases complete cures, step 3, and 7 cases 2, and 4 cases 1, and unfortunately 6 cases did not continue. That is this slide shows a very interesting, as every depression patient has a too long time medication, conventional medicine medicated, but started adding homeopathy as they have already medicated. Starting this homeopathy main remedy, as every complete cure case is in 2 years. As that natural healing is prognosis prompt to by healing in 2 years. So this is for I think about schizophrenia. So because I'm almost my patient a depression patient, but recently the few people has come to see homeopathy schizophrenia patient. I started to treat the schizophrenia patient. So like depression patient, to reduce the difficulty in everyday life, especially for their complaint, the hallucination and delusion, as they cannot do the difficult, cannot do the everyday life. And to second step, reduce the stop antipsychotics, and the third is stop taking remedy if possible. That's the possibility, because schizophrenia is very difficult to be a complete cure, I think so. So as a schizophrenia is like a diagnosis by DSM-4 as a positive symptom or negative symptom or a cognitive symptom. And according to the diagnosis, I pick up some rubrics. And this slide shows the repertorization of the rubrics. As it is interesting, as that is only just mind schizophrenia 45 remedy as a MAC repertory as pick up as anacardim, belladonna, like Cistenax, Bomica, as I repertorize is according to the rubrics, and like that's the same remedy as especially the somnosia family. Now I would like to introduce the 3 cases, and my abstract is only 2 cases, but this time is a long time, so I wanted the 3 cases. And the first case is a 24 years old man, and his complaint is hallucination and confused thought cognitive symptom. About 3 years, he had depressive state because of his stressful college life. He is a musical student. When he was working alone after graduate, he working alone in the USA. He worried about everything and gathered dumped garbage compulsively. He is a very compulsive behavior. After his first days, he came back to Japan, and he was diagnosed diagnosed with schizophrenia by psychiatrist and prescribed risperidone 2 milligram. And at the first consult, he said he had auditory hallucinations since childhood. I think as some schizophrenia patients started childhood. So he had hallucination and carry out and go. And he got angry at himself, so he kicked through or break things. He could not control his fury. He could not concentration, and he was very confused. This slide showed his homeopathic history, and that he has very negative symptom as a flat, no smile, and only just as a face as very like a mask. And he was lost in thought about many questions, have a long time to reply, and he did not talk about himself at all, and he have a little bit interesting at the food desire as milk very crave. And the local symptom as every schizophrenia patient, it is important, very sensitive to noise. That's very important. It's not so unique as sound or a refrigerator or a television mechanical sound. And he said only just he fears violence. According to his complaint, as I pick up some rubrics, only that's the mind rubrics, and one rubrics as a milk product. As according to the repatriation, as anacardium laxis as the same like a pattern. So, but he is very. I think sometimes think about which is remedy as dynamic pathological breaks, and some patient as I think illness, a lot of symptom as healthy, not so go through directly is a mixture state and a complicated state. I think compared to the patient, to the remedy have like this as anacardium as a positive aspect in the anacardium. I pick up some rubrics, especially as intellectual philosophy. He is before his symptom, before his illness, he is very intellectual and his state he has a musical student, a hub of philosophy, and he went to America, and he had ambitious. He has an anacardium state as a positive state as an ambitious, and so he wanted to the garbage, and he was very injustice cannot spot. So I decided the anacardium. And another aspect of the anacardium, compulsive, fastidious aspect. So he complains very compulsive behavior. He had very compulsive. So I decided anacardium 30C, 1 pill a day. And 10 days into treatment, he felt calm. He's still here. I think that he has acute positive symptom as getting reduced. He's still here as a voice, but it is okay. And when he said, when I forgot to take the remedy, I was very confused. I recommended need to the continuously to anacardium 30C. Only just twice I met him. After then, instead of him, his mother come to consultation. And so 1 month into treatment, he stopped risperidone, and he took mild and hard to irritability. He worked at a part-time job, started part-time job cleaning room, and after that he went to college and came back in the afternoon. And 4 months into treatment, he had a chance to contact his friend. It is important as recover to the normal life. And communication with friend it is a hard symptom as of the schizophrenia. It's difficult to communicate as a people. It's hallucination or delusion. So 10 months into treatment, it is a good condition. He continued his part-time job and was paying living expense his life. And that's the state as to reduce to stop reduce or stop the antipsychotic medicine. 1 year and 7 months into treatment, and he did not need any remedies, such as 13 months after starting the anacardium. He said to this is very important, he said to his mother, I was slightly inside, wasn't it? Speak up. Okay. As 3 years and 1 month after treatment, he was working as a regular employee as he came back to the normal life. And I think as his mother I know well, as his mother as a patient too. I hear about his circumstance, and 10 years passed, no relapse. It is very important. Some schizophrenia patient, if they stop the antipsychotic medicine, as in 5 years, almost relapse. But the past 10 years, he has no relapse. And the second case is 43 years old female, as a little bit older than him. And she complained of delusion and sleeplessness. And her history, she had first hospital treatment for delusion, hallucination, and suicide attempt because of an adulterous affair at 29. She had remission and recurrence. She got worse at 40 when her new husband had an affair. And also she took as aripiprazole, as she still had delusion and hallucination. She could never sleep well. She lacked vitality. She could not go out or take a bath. She cannot do a normal life, and she could not cook out at all. She wanted improvement in her daily life and to seek the homeopathy. That is the homeopathic history. She was very fashionable, beautiful dresses. It's incredible bright dresses. In Japan, as many people not so the incredible dressing, so she is amazing. She talked slowly and concretely, very, very womanish, feminist, and loquacity, and change subject top and top, and the thirsty and the physical symptom not so important, I think so. That is a mental symptom. And she was bright and serious, and she tried too hard. She could not sleep with her husband after his affair. She had strong delusion about his affair recurring, and she complained very important hallucination, visual hallucination, auditory hallucination, olfactory hallucination. And it is a yuri flower, as a lotus flower in the world, an animal dances or kisses it. Her husband had a face like a Frankenstein monster, and the man whom I wouldn't become an angel and has flown away. Audio not word, but only just music, and olfactory rose scent, and fear a lot of fear. She complained. I think as it is a very difficult case, she complained a lot of symptom and hallucination. As usually for the mental symptom, I use a holistic approach. But sometimes I'm thinking the center of gravity, and I saw seeking the theme of patient. And I training as a method of complexity by Massimo Mangiarabori, and I try to fitting as the theme to the theme of remedy. So that's using a computer. I think that this patient has 3 themes: brightness and delusion and the lack. Everything as a lack of the energy or physical symptom, as she complained anemia, dryness as lack. And so some rubrics complexity analysis is a theme matching the remedy and the patient. I decided staphylococcus aureus But interesting, as Staphylococcus aureus did not recommended schizophrenia and repertorization, as that's the repertorization as commented the Staphylococcus aureus not at all. So the first step is I prescribed 200C every day. And so for the mental symptom, as I tried the hypertension or 33 or 20, 200C as every day, because they are everyday medication. As so as 1 month into treatment, she can sleep well, and 3 months into treatment, it's very good. Hallucination have almost disappeared. And also, I got sick and confused until now. Things have become easier again. And 6 months into treatment, the illusion has hallucination completely disappeared. That's the second step. As 1 year into treatment, I tried to reduce the antipsychotics medication. And so she could travel, and so as aripiprazole as was reduced from 6 milligram to 3 milligram, and she can try to travel. And 2.5 years into treatment, her condition had improved, but it is hard to reduce the medication, and very gradually. And 2 years is like 1/4, and that's 3 years into treatment, a too long time. And she said good state, and with the Staphylococcus 3 years. After 3 years, I can stop the medication. It's a very, very long time. For the, do you remember, depression patient at 2 years complete cures, but the schizophrenia patient at too long time and 5 years and 4 months into treatment. Just now, as I saw her, I see her, because she needed to control as to relapse of schizophrenia. Only just 10 years, 5 years. I think she is a good condition. She wrote poetry, and she came back to work together and other people, and so she had a normal life enjoyed. And the third case, I have a time. Yes, that's the third. Good. Third case at 80 years old man, as auditor hallucination and sleeplessness. And when his mother died and from large intestinal necrosis after operation for colon cancer, he shocked and was admitted into hospital at 29. And he had been treated with antipsychotics and hospitalized on and off several times. And he was scared about his health and being attacked and being ordered around. He heard the animal voice by vibration of his vocal cord. As he risperidone flurazepam as already medication, but it did not work well. And this is here, because instead of him, only just from his sister, and because he can't go to my clinic, and his symptom is very severe. He inside in the home. He cannot go out at home, out of home. So as his sister brings his thinking, as he complained cognitive thinking, as he is in Japanese, very not meaning at the upside in this side, very confused. It's like a schizophrenia patient, like that, I think. And his homeopathic history is his sister is that is the first case, like milk too, is not so important. Abdomen is but the diarrhea aggravated by milk. It's interesting. That's the mental symptom from his sister said. In childhood, he is very sensitive and compulsive. He is very compulsive, very sensitive child. Not so many rubrics, only just a few rubrics. I think as an academic, my experience for the first case is very similar to the anacardium state. So I think as hearing about his children and just now he is thinking he had the situation, he wanted to be alone. He had a big anxious. And so like our first case, I pick up with anacardium at 30C. And 1 month into treatment from his sister, he had calm and regular life. His sleep was deeper, audio hallucination was reduced, but sometimes he talked with someone in his room. He could not go to work before, but then could go every day. It was clearly different to before homeopathic treatment. 5 months into treatment, good condition, his expression and compression came out. And he had been wooden and his response time had been different before. We can several understand he felt caring toward his family and he hoped for them to take care. And when they started homeopathic treatment, and his sister recommended homeopathy for him, but his father refused, and homeopathy is not so good, and the homeopathy didn't know where. So, but after 5 months, his father supported to take homeopathy. And 9 months, it is very important. He can go to the hospital or clinic by himself. And he came to consultation. First time he said, 9 months into treatment, he said, I sleep well. I didn't sleep for 1 year. No hallucination. 11 months into treatment, good. I work for 40 minutes every day. He can work outside, and I smoke 20 a day. I do not have any stress at work. And risperidone, I try to reduce the dose of risperidone. 1 year and 3 months into treatment, he worried about his hand trembling. So I put it as another name, the Silica 30C. And 1 month and 6 months into treatment, as he had not noticed any trembling. And Silica as a spot prescribed and good condition. Risperidone reduced 3 milligram to 2 milligram. But unfortunately, I stopped the homeopathic clinic as last year. So as I can't see him as continuously, only just 2 and 3 months finished treatment. So this is a schizophrenia patient detail. I think not so many people, but see the schizophrenia patient too long time, as everyone as risperidone or aripiprazole antipsychotics, and that does not work. So at the treatment, that's only 2 cases as continuous C. And 1 case, this time I didn't display her, but she is a very good case as I saw her at 80 years. And 3 years and 10 months stopped the antipsychotic medication. But after 5 years control, because we worry about the relapse, and I treated the homeopathy. And just now is suffix agria, sometimes suffix agria, but there's another remedy added and for her circumstance. And she had stopped the delusion or complete, I think it's complete recover, and she had pregnant and have a family, and it's a very good condition. I'd like the second case is here. I think these results suggest that the homeopathic treatment is difficult but is useful for the additional as conventional medication for schizophrenia. And it may effective the thinking about how to step at the 3 step. At the first step is only just to improve the daily life and reduce the hallucination and delusion, positive symptom, and getting better, and they try to reduce the antipsychotic medication. I think as, for example, as I saw a depression patient or mental disorder, anxiety patient, as compared to the other mental disorder patient, it is hard to take to the time of recovery for schizophrenia. And this model is helpful understanding recovery from schizophrenia through homeopathy. Thank you so much for your attention.